episode of the Squid Games Aftermath podcast. I am your host, DeAndre, aka Player 288, and today we have a very special guest that was requested by many people. And I've been trying to get this man on for a very long time, but he finally has some time away from his crazy schedule to step on here. Mr.
Mhm.
Ned Swart, aka Player 404, was popping.
How's it going? Requested by many people? I don't know about that. That's
You were
funny.
requested.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Good to hear.
A wanted
Here I
man
am.
in these streets. How does it feel to be so
Oh,
wanted?
dude, that's news to me. I've never felt that in my life.
Oh, you very wanted, Ned. You
Oh,
very
thank you.
wanted.
Thank you. Thank you. Too kind.
Well, we gonna jump right into it, my boy. Tell me,
Alrighty.
why did you decide to apply for Squid Games, the challenge?
Yeah, you know what? I was on Twitter one day and I saw the ad and I was so I watched the show when it first came out. I thought it looked sick. I'd be like, I would love to play those games. They look fun. Um, and also just wanted to see how well I could do, how far I could get. So I just recorded a 1 minute video of myself standing there in the living room. I didn't think they would even look at it. I kind of forgot about it. And then I never even watched it again. And then like 3 or 4 months later, I got a call. And then the rest is history.
Hey, the rest is history.
The rest is
And so
history.
Ned gets accepted on the show, and so some months pass, and it's
Hmm.
time for him to get ready to go. So tell me what's going on in your head the night before you about to get on the plane.
Yeah, so the night before I get on the plane, um, the car actually comes to pick me up from my house at like 2 in the morning. Um, my flight was at 6 a.m. and they wanted me to get to the airport before 3. So the baggage claim had not even opened yet. Security had not even opened yet. So I was literally just sitting there for a couple hours until the airport finally opened and they let me in. Um, I was super nervous. I mean, I don't even think I slept. Maybe I slept for like 30 minutes and then got back up at 2 a.m. But um, it was crazy. And while I'm at the airport, I'm kind of looking around, trying to see who else has only one bag of luggage, who else looks like they could be going on the show. And so we have a flight from Dallas and it stops in New York, and I have like a 9 hour layover there. And so while I'm at this layover, there's this girl, and I'm eyeing her because I'm like, okay, she only has one bag. Who is flying from Dallas to New York with only one bag, and is alone? So I talked to her. I was like, hey, like, what are you here for? And she said, oh, I'm like going for just like a personal thing. I was like, oh yeah, are you staying at this hotel? And she was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, okay, I think we're doing this together. Her name was Bree. She ended up getting out in red light, green light, which is sad. But then we go to the London airport, and there's like 12 of us that are we figure out we're all doing the same thing. And I actually sat next to a lady on the flight there, and we connected. And we kind of like strategized together. And so I had this alliance going in with like 12 people. This is very against the rules. We're not supposed to talk about this at all. But we were all like, okay, we've got each other's backs in the dorms. This is going to be a thing. Um, every single one of them got out in red light, green light. Every single one. And I'm like, screw this. It was sad.
Oh Lord, this man was planning earlier than anyone I've talked to on
Yeah,
this podcast. Yeah.
dude. Yeah, we were planning, and they were super sneaky. So the lady I sat next to on the plane, we were pretty tight. We had this bond going. She's a mom, and she has kids that are my age, and they went to the same college as me, and so we had a good connection. And she was scared to be like seen with this group because she's like, oh, what if production's watching us and then we get in trouble for connecting because we're not allowed to talk. And so she was kind of standing off to the side, and they're like, guys, like she's not with us. Like we have to take her out like as soon as possible. And I'm like, dude, the game has not even started, and you're already turning on your alliance.
What?
So yeah, bro, it's crazy.
Oh my God. What is happening? They was having their own
Dude,
version of Squid Games going on, I think.
yeah, literally. And then it sadly didn't pan out for any of them. I mean, or
Wow.
me.
Well, you get pans out for you a little bit, but we gonna get
A little
there.
bit. Yeah, we'll get there
More than
eventually.
more than your counterparts, but we
That's true.
move and we get into the hotel. We spend a couple days there, and then it's time to go
Yeah.
to red light, green. Well, the first game, and so we get on the
Yes.
bus first. Tell me what you feeling when you get on this bus and headed to the game.
Okay. So we're getting on the bus and we're heading to red light, green light. Um, this, I can't remember. Okay, no, he's not this bus. Okay, so I'm gonna start planting seeds for this narrative that goes throughout my whole game. So on the bus, red light, green light. I growing up, I was always the person that I was always scared to approach people, and I always felt like this manifested itself on buses. Like when we're on bus trips, I never wanted to sit next to someone else because I was scared. I'm like, what if they don't want to sit next to me? And I kind of just forced myself upon them. And so I was very scared of that. And so I actually chose a seat that was empty. I was like, okay, whoever sits next to me, it's destiny, it's fate. This person is hopefully going to be a friend of mine. Happened to be filled by none other than Justin Keys. So yeah, we'll hear more about that later. But so we're driving to red light, green light. I'm scared, but I'm excited. I have no idea what's going on. I clearly missed the hint. Everyone seemed to know it was red light, green light, but I didn't. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to the dorms. I missed the part in the paper that literally said red light in red and green light in green. And but everyone else seemed to catch that. And so we're talking the whole way, and he's convinced it's Dakji is the first game. And I'm like, I have no idea. I thought almost all the games were going to be new. For some reason, I got that in my head that they were only going to do like a couple games from the show. And I knew, I figured Red Light Green Light was going to be one of them because that's iconic and like, you know, they're going to want to promote the show with Red Light Green Light. And so that's in the back of my mind. We get there. I don't think anyone's interested in like the behind the scenes stuff in the tent, but
I mean, if it's important to you, you feel free to share it. If you think it's
okay,
important
yeah,
to you, because this is about
yeah,
Ned and his game.
okay, thank you. Yeah, so we get there and then we're split up. Our numbers were not close to each other, and you get put in a tent with the people of your numbers. And so I'm like, all right, see you later, Keys. We're gonna link up after this game, after we crush it. And so then we get put in our tents and we get connected, and I form like a pretty good alliance with the people whose numbers are next to mine. I was number 404, and so I think it was like 402, 403, 404, and 405. I think the four of us, we like had a little click, and we're like, okay, we got this thing together. We're going to the end together. They all died in red light, green light. I'd made a few other friends at the starting line of red light, green light. They all died. And so I'm like, frick, like I'm going into this game literally knowing no one, and everyone else has all these connections. But I do, as I cross the finish line. Wait, no, actually, I want to talk about red light, green light because that sucked. That was literally the worst thing I've done in my life. So I start, and I don't really have a strategy. But I start and I freeze like this with like one leg in front of the other. And so in that 20 to 30-minute pause, my entire weight is on my back leg and it starts shaking uncontrollably. And I am like, okay, I'm like about to collapse. But then luckily it was a green light, so we went. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to distribute my weight evenly. So I stood up straight. My leg was still so fatigued, so it was literally just shaking. I'm like, okay, that's unsustainable. I got to sit down next time. So next time I run, I jump into a crisscross applesauce, sit there, and it works. It works fine. I'm so much more comfortable. Then green light, I get up and I sprint. Okay, apparently your body is not designed to go straight from crisscross applesauce into sprinting and then back into crisscross applesauce, because immediately I got Charlie's horses in my calves. It is the most excruciating thing I've ever felt. And I have to sit there for 30 minutes and pretend like nothing's wrong. And I can't stretch my legs. I can't do anything. I swear I was crying half the time. It was literally the worst thing I've ever felt. And I've felt it for like 7 more hours after that. So that was terrible. Worst day of my life. I was so freezing. I couldn't feel my fingers, couldn't feel my toes. I had snot running down my face. So finally it comes to, there's like 50 seconds left on the clock or whatever. There's not that many people left on the field. And I'm like, okay, this green light, no matter what happens, I'm just sprinting. If I don't make it, I don't care if I die. Like, I'm just ready to be done. So I sprinted, made it across. First person I see, Scott. He's an escape room designer. I hug him. I get snot all over him. I feel terrible. Whatever. That is the most joy I've ever felt in my entire life. It was incredible. It was so incredible. And then I hugged. There's a shot of me on the show. I think this is my only thing in red light, green light. You can see me hugging Steven. I didn't know he was going to be a main character. If I had, maybe I would have hugged him longer. And then I meet a couple other people like Madison who are just incredible and end up becoming friends for later. So yeah, that was red light, green light. It's terrible.
Yeah, very dramatic story. You have one of the most dramatic red light, green light experiences out of everyone I've talked to so
Oh,
far.
thank you. It was awful. Never want to do it again. And I spent
This
the rest
man
of the night
lost.
taking a bath.
This man lost all his friends, getting cramps, Charlie
Hmm.
horses, wrong
Hmm.
positions, snot on people.
I had a lady die on me. Like I was sitting on the ground and she like kind of stumbled into like a leaning over position, and then she got exploded and like fell in my lap. And I'm like, lady, like please move. I don't want to die because you pushed me over.
It was testing you, man.
It was testing me. It
They was
was all
testing you.
testing me.
Well, that means
Hmm.
you got a lot of will and inner strength, you know? So definitely you get through all those crazy things, you can do anything.
Yeah, for sure. After that, I'm like, I'm winning this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely,
Spoilers, I
man.
did not.
Like, hey. I mean, look, there could be a redemption house somewhere
You know what?
that I
I
didn't
always
hear
thought that.
about.
I know.
Well,
I was thinking that.
404 successfully
Hmm.
completes red light, green light. Congratulations. He's on his way to making that $4.56 million. And soon we head into the dorms. So when we first get into the dorms, tell me what's going on in your head.
Yeah. So, um, the morning that we were woken up to go to the dorms, they said that someone's gonna come knock on my door and get me. No one ever came to get me, and so I'm literally like sitting in bed. It's like 9 a.m. and they said that we were gonna get up really early to leave, and I was like, okay, like 3 or 4 a.m. or something. It's 9 a.m. I'm watching a game show on TV, and I'm like, I am so scared that I like missed the call to go downstairs, but I also don't want to go downstairs and get in trouble because I left my hotel room. So I'm just panicking. Turns out like someone just forgot to get me and like the few doors around me, and so they finally get us at like 9:30 or something. We sprint down. The bus has been waiting for us. It's like full. It's been waiting for like the five of us for like hours, and everyone's really mad at us because we've been holding it holding it down. But I got a good night's sleep, so I'm happy. um, on that bus, I actually on the bus back from red light green light previous night I rode with Catherine Oliver, who's incredible. You interviewed her. She's amazing, great friend, great person. But then on the bus to the dorms, I'm sitting next to this guy named Beetle. I'm wearing my Texas A&M hoodie, and he is like, oh, did you go to Texas A&M? He's Scottish. I can't do a Scottish accent, but that's what he said. And I was like, yeah, I did. How do you know that if you're from Scotland? And so apparently he one time decided to check out American football, and the game that he watched for the team he just randomly decided to support was Texas A&M. And so I'm like, let's go. So we talked about that for a long time. We talked about what he does as a filmmaker. So it was really fun. Felt like I made a friend going in there. Um, so then we go to the dorms. That was a long-winded way to say that we get into the dorms. It's so overwhelming. The first thing I do is I run around and I look at all the pictures on the wall. That's the first thing I noticed because I'm thinking very strategically at this point. I'm like, my mind is actually in like survivor mode. That's my favorite game show. And I'm like, okay, if I was in survivor, I'd be thinking there's probably like hidden advantages somewhere. So I'm just gonna go like look everywhere. So I was looking around, look at all the paintings on the wall, and they're just like the ones from the show, except there's one with a boat. And so I was talking with a group of people. They're like, okay, what does this boat mean? And none of us thought of Battleship. I don't know why. We didn't think of Battleship. We thought of like Oh Captain, My Captain or whatever. That's a game. Um, and then there were two people on the boat, so like, oh, maybe you have to like do a one-on-one duel or something on a boat. I don't know. It sounded fun, but something that ticks me off about that is that tug of war was on the wall. Tug of war in the whole game. And so literally every single time there was a game coming up, I'm like, oh, it's tug of war next. Even when we were down to 60 people left, I was like, oh, tug of war is next. Because it's on the wall. They can't lie to us, but they did. They sure lied to us.
I mean, they didn't lie to anyone. They didn't
Dude, they
say there was
did.
going to be tug of war.
They put it on the wall. Like, okay, they put Battleship on the wall. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The Battleship's on the wall. They said there's 7 games. There's 7 games on the wall. Tug of war is one of them. There was no tug of war. So, Stuart Lambert, I'm a little upset at you for that. That was mean.
Well, they also didn't put Circle of Trust on the wall either.
Yeah, they didn't. Right. I'm thinking maybe they probably should just replace tug of war with Circle of Trust, but I know they wanted that drama of like making you think there's gonna be a tug of war, so there's like guys' alliances and stuff. It's all very methodical. They definitely wanted to elicit certain reactions, which I think they got. Um, okay, so we're in the dorm, going around. My whole strategy for the whole game was to have as many friends as possible and to basically know as many people as possible. And I mean, that was a strategy because I knew that half of the game was going to be a social game. It's a reality show and there's going to be competitions, but like in a reality show, you need interpersonal conflict, you need drama, and like you're not going to be able to have that without um, these tests. And so I figured that the test would be social and you're going to want to have people on your side. And so that was my whole strategy for that. And then just hope I get through all the challenges. Um, but aside from that, I also just like meeting people. And I'm like, what opportunity am I going to have to meet 200 other people from around the world again in my life? So I really enjoyed that. And I found little clusters of people. You could see like little friendship groups forming, and I tried to make my rounds and meet everyone. I remember I met you and I think Dylan at the same time. I think you were like, oh, Dylan's from Dallas or whatever. So
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so that was fun. So I had a bunch of little friend pockets, but then I think my closest ally at that point was Ali Chu, former Miss Hawaii, and so we got along very well. We kind of had our little bunks next to each other, just making friends all over the place. So yeah, that's kind of the beginning of the dorms.
Okay, Ned was getting around, mingling, opening himself up a little bit, getting
Yeah.
outside his comfort zone. I
Hmm.
definitely remember meeting you clearly. We got to hang out
Same.
a good amount in the dorms, I'd say.
Yeah.
You got to be, with me when I had my little drama stuff going on.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna get into that because this ain't about me. But
Yeah.
that's for when I do my own thing. I'm gonna talk about my own experience. I ain't still haven't done that yet, but
Yeah, you need to.
yeah,
You need to.
I will. I'll get there.
Okay.
I'll get there
Okay.
because I got a
Good.
lot of things to get off my chest. But I
Yeah.
put little, some people ask me different things in different podcasts, and I add
Mhm.
tidbits and whatnot.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, definitely. When I met you, I knew you were, a cool dude. And when I was like, oh, we talked because you went to Texas A&M, I went to Mizzou, and
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
played each other. We played them, and yada yada yada, and all that stuff. And so definitely,
Yeah.
and we were in the same fraternity too, which I found out. So
Yeah.
definitely, I was like, okay, I can trust this guy. I can
Yeah.
trust this guy.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed our time together in the dorms, man. You're always
Hmm.
solid, 100%, and respect you, and I appreciate you for being my friend.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
so we move on to figure out that 200 gets eliminated. So what are you
Hmm.
thinking when you see this?
Okay. So um, I was fine with him going. I really liked him. He was really fun. He led some of the group games that we played. So he's a good guy. But in the morning, he woke me up before the lights came on because he was walking around talking to people, and I do not like that when people interrupt my sleep. And so I was thinking, okay, I could eliminate him. I also had my eye on. There were a lot of people in there that I could tell were not there for the game. They were not there for the experience. They were there to get clout, and I respect that. Like, if you're gonna be on this opportunity, definitely make the most of it. But there were some people that were just so over the top fake that it annoyed the crap out of me, and I literally was like, I want you out just because you were annoying me. And like, there were actually many conversations I was having with a certain player where, like, I was really excited to meet this person, and we would be in like having conversations and stuff. She would look up, see if the cameras were pointing at us, and if they weren't, she would get up mid conversation and leave. And that made me livid because I'm like, I I don't deal with people who are not genuine, and that is just so rude to me, and I don't want people like that in the game.
Interesting.
Um,
We have to talk about that off camera, coach. So I'm gonna
yeah,
put a note on that.
I mean, people can figure out who it is pretty easily. I think. Um, yeah, but
Maybe
yeah,
we'll talk about it off.
okay, we'll talk about it off camera. But at the same time, Jesse, who ended up being a captain in Battleship, she and I formed a connection because we were big Survivor fans, and so we were thinking, you know how in the original Squid Game they sneak, or there's an advantage in one of the air ducts in the bathroom because she crawls up there and sees that they're making the dalgona. And so we were thinking, okay, it'd be a really cool callback to the show if they had like an advantage hidden in one of the air vents. And so we literally went to the bathroom, stood on all the toilets, and like tried messing with all the air vents and stuff, and nothing. There was nothing. So, but we were really disappointed. We thought there was gonna be something cool, and we were also very suspicious of people who had chores. So I did not know, like the entire game, I didn't know basically until the show aired who took out 200. But the whole time we're like, it's someone who did a chore. And it's also a
Yeah.
little suspicious to me that, not suspicious, I just didn't like that production chose who did the first chores. Like that just seems kind of out of the spirit of the game. And again, when they chose Dr. Rick for that chore later on, which directly led to his elimination. So production, you screwed yourselves over there. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan that they kind of just like manipulated that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I wish they kind of I wish they would have given the opportunity to eliminate or save someone to the first two people that finished red light, green light.
Yeah, that would have been fair.
I-
That would have made so much sense.
Yeah, it would have made sense instead of just literally the only time you give it to two random people that didn't step up to
Yeah.
get a box or wasn't first in line or anything. It was just like brandos. And so
Mhm.
I thought that was very
Exactly.
strange. And I'm like, is the whole game
Yes.
gonna be like this? Like you just gonna pick random
Right.
people to eliminate people? So
Yeah,
I was
that's
not
what I
a
was
fan of
thinking.
that at all.
No, I wasn't either. It was between like that and then the fact that they kept calling specific people back for MIVs, which I understand now from like a editing perspective. Like you want to have those main characters you're following, but at the beginning, I was like, this show could be rigged, and I could just be like an extra because they're like calling these specific people back. I don't think it was rigged, but I was suspicious of it at first.
Yeah, no, definitely it was you know, Steven, who was getting called for a lot of MIVs, unfortunately,
Yeah.
he didn't want to do that because he was, he was
Yeah.
there for the money. And he's like,
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is ruining he told them it's ruining my game. You guys keep calling me back here all the time.
Yeah.
And people are seeing
It
this,
did.
and that's going to put a target on my back, which it did
It
eventually.
literally did. Mhm.
So, yeah, that's wild. And you was out here looking
Yeah.
for idols and whatnot.
Yeah.
Looking under people's
I was.
mattresses and pillowcases. I'm like, this boy, I didn't know you was doing all that. I didn't know your head was in the game like that. You just seemed like you was
Bro,
just
my
walking
head-
around.
I was always in the game.
Hey, his head was in the game, Troy Bolton style.
Mhm.
Okay.
Facts.
Okay, so we move on to the second game, and it's
Okay.
we walk into the white room for the first time. We see these 4 lines. So what are you thinking when you first get in this white room?
Okay. So let me tell you, before this happened, we're in the dorms, and I think this is hilarious. So Jessie comes up to me and she goes, Ned, the shapes are predetermined. Like we don't get to pick what shape we're doing. I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, the area of the room that you're sleeping in is the shape you get. I was like, what? And she says, in the hallway, there's a chart on the wall, and it shows a map of the room, and it's divided into quadrants, and each quadrant has a shape over it. I'm like, are you kidding? And so apparently someone had like gone out into the hallway, like behind the set, to take their meds, and had seen this map. And I'm like, oh frick. And so I asked her, I said, okay, do you remember what quadrant was which? And she said, the one I was in. She was like, I think that's circle. It could be star, but I think it's circle. And so I'm like, okay, bet. Like I really hope I get circle. And that's further confirmed to me because we're in bed and they come around doing their bed checks, making sure everyone's in the correct bed with their clipboard. I look at the clipboard, it has a big circle on it where my name is. And I'm like I got circle. And so I look over and I see this girl and she's looking at me all worried. And I said, we got circle. Like we got circle. And she was like, are you sure? I was like, 100%, like we got circle. And then the next day, it turns out there was literally just like a map, and it had nothing to do with Dalgona. I was so convinced. I was so confident.
This man's losing himself in the music.
Yes. No, seriously. Okay, so then we get in the white room, and I'm like, it's pretty clear it's going to be Dalgona at that point because there's 4 lines. Everyone's thinking Dalgona. I'm following a couple of my friends. I'm following Beetle and some of his friends. They go straight to line 4. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to line 4. So I follow them. I don't know why. Like, they were kind of giving me the cold shoulder that day. And so I'm like, okay, I am not sure what's up. They like weren't really including me in the conversation or whatever. I'm like, okay, I think maybe they just don't really want to be my friend that much. And so I was a little hurt. My feelings were a little hurt. But I'm like, I'm going to go make new friends. So I went to the opposite side of the room, which was line 1. And I get in the back of the line because at that point the line's already full. And so that's how I ended up in line 1. And then I'm talking to Chad, who's like right in front of me, and he's like, "You know why I chose this line?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because Figgy's in this line, and I think they're rigging it for Figgy." And I'm like, "Good point. Okay, I see that." So, yep.
Oh my gosh, you are killing me right now with these theories and whatnot. I mean, I have my theories too, but yours beat mine by a mile.
Dude, all my theories were so wrong. So,
Oh gosh, man. This man would be on Survivor like in this mud pit looking for something that didn't exist.
yeah, literally I would.
Oh my gosh, opening like frogs up and dissecting them, thinking there's an idol inside the frogs.
Yeah, because you know what? There might be this time. I don't know. This is a brand new show. You don't know what tricks they're gonna pull.
Yeah, I know, but I was not expecting like any idols or anything like that. Like,
No.
I didn't watch Survivor at the time. This is my first season watching, but I didn't watch it at the time, so I wasn't really looking. I was looking for clues, but I wasn't looking for no idols.
Never know.
Oh, I feel you though. I feel you. That's your show, so that's what you're using as a blueprint. So we get in there, yes, and they find out the people in the front have to decide the line shape. So first line gets in there, boom, they're gone. Second line gets in there, boom, they're gone. Third line gets in there, they finally figure out. They determine what the order is going to be. It's going to be obvious in the line your order: circle, triangle, star, umbrella. You get circle, so congrats. You know your line leader is Mark, the Circle King, who I interviewed earlier.
Mark.
Great time.
Mark's
Check
my
this
guy.
out. And so you get in there and you're getting ready, starting your circle. So tell me how it was doing your circle and then the process.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has touched on this, but the first group of line leaders that went in that room, do you remember how they tried to make a British alliance?
So yeah, they tried it. Well, there were
3 Brits and 1 American.
There were 3 of them. Yeah, there were 3 of them, and then they said like boy girl, and then that wasn't working. Then they did the British thing,
right?
And so
Zach, they cut the British part out of the show. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they cut that out, which I thought, you know, I mean, the British guy wasn't. The guy from me, he wasn't British. He was New Zealand. He was from New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
I forget his name. I'm so sorry, my friend. But he was from New Zealand, and he was in my line, and he got circled. So yes, I remember that part. But I talked to Zach already, and Zach said that he was never gonna pick Umbrella. So he was. I asked him because he said he was never gonna pick it. So
right. I mean, I was rooting for the British people because my line was.
I mean, me too. I was too. I was I was happy. Come on, get circle. Yeah,
down with America.
I know.
Yeah.
That was so disappointing in that. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sad to see you go. That was really a bummer. I was really upset about that. Rip.
I got too close to Ned. All his friends are leaving, and I have the next one to go.
I guess so. Yeah, literally everyone on Punch dies. Yeah. So yeah, including my allies like Allie, like she died in this game too, and Beetle, like all of them just died. So yeah, so we go into the circle room, and I'm in a line with people like Dr. Rick, Leanne's in there, Trey's in there, Figgy's in there, but we got a little circle of us, and it's me, Brownie, Dr. Rick, Jessica, Amanda, and Chad. I believe that's it. There's 6 of us. We're in this little circle, and Dr. Rick is like, guys, I practice this so much at home. I know the strategy to do it. Sit with me, and I'll teach you how. And so he was truly the GOAT because I had no plans going into this. I didn't even know like how to practice this at home. I guess I could have, but basically my strategy was just look at the back until you can kind of see a little bit through. And then I set it in the thing, and then I'd spit in the groove and just kept carving a circle. It was actually a lot easier than I expected. And then I later did a triangle one, and I broke it. So really glad I got circle because I probably would not have made it past if I got anything else.
Fortunate. Well, our friend Ned, player 404, makes it past the second game unscathed with the circle crew, and they get in there and hoist him up like the king he is, and we move on to the next phase. And soon we see this telephone in the dorm. Are you thinking about picking up this telephone?
No chance. I'm never picking that phone up because you know they're gonna do a few good things and then they're gonna pull the rug out from under you. Like we all knew
Could be an idol.
It could be an idol, you know. But like, it is not worth it to put your neck on the chopping block for donuts. Like, I took a donut from Elliot when he got it, which is very kind of him. But I'm not gonna answer that phone myself. Like, no, let other people do that and then share the rewards with me. It was just way too risky. And that whole theory was floating around. I think it might have been James who was saying it, that 4 is unlucky in Korean. And so I'm like, not number 4, not number 4. And of course, the 4th ring was bad. So also, 198 kind of played that really poorly. Like, there's a lot of other things he could have said to get people to answer the phone.
What he said was, which I'll give him some, he's not my friend or anything, but I want to give him transparency. What he said was he only picked up the phone twice because he was afraid if anyone else picked up the phone and got an advantage to eliminate someone, he was going to be the one they were going to send home. So that's why he kept answering. That's why he did it ultimately, which makes perfect sense now. Because before I was like, why would you do it? But once he said that, and then he said he could have got one of his friends eliminated, but he didn't want to do that by picking up the phone too. So he kind of just like, obviously panicked a little bit and wasn't able to convince anyone at all. So
for sure,
he had to soon be sent out. Like,
definitely, that was unfortunate. The unfortunate thing for him was that his reaction, like, he immediately reacted to what they said, and like you could see the look of shock on his face, and so I think that kind of scared everyone from getting it. And of course, I probably would have done this exact same thing in the moment. My jaw probably would have dropped. But someone that I was talking to recently said, like, couldn't he just have said, like, oh, they said I can't get a reward twice, so someone else has to come pick it up? That could have been
He could. Yeah, no, you're right. He could have, but they only gave him 2 minutes to make this quick decision. And me having someone to make a quick decision in 2 minutes, your brain is like going a million miles an hour.
Yes. This is all in hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
it was a tricky spot.
Yeah, a tough spot. You have 2 minutes to make a decision, and you're trying to think of all the scenarios and then keep a poker face at the same time. Like, it's a tough thing to do. So
for sure,
I think he was screwed either way. There was no way he was getting that out after people were watching him. So 198 evacuates the. No, go ahead.
Oh, they edited it out. Everyone cheering after he left.
Yeah, no, everyone. He evacuates the building, and everyone goes crazy, like his New Year's Day. But yes, he is gone, and so it's now soon time for the next game, and we soon walk into the white room again, and there are 8 lines this time. What's going on in your head?
Okay, so I gotta rewind again. I'm sorry.
This is you.
Okay, so it's on the wall, tug of war. So it's coming up next because they followed the schedule of the show up to this point. So it's obviously tug of war. That's what I'm telling everyone. That's what I'm convinced of. And I know there's this big guys alliance that's been formed, and no one's invited me to it, which I am hurt by. I know I look tiny in my oversized Squid Game tracksuit, but like I'm literally trying. Like, I spent as much time as I could in the shower room with my shirt off, just so people would be like, "Oh, like maybe we want them on our team." Didn't work. No one wanted me on their team. But in the meantime, I had been integrated into this alliance called the Corner. So Mikey, great Irish man, we met playing Ninja, and we became really good friends really fast. So he and I became really good friends, and then we were brought into the Corner. And the Corner included him, me, Kyle, Melissa, Rob, Dylan, and then Aurora. And Aurora and I had actually run red light, green light together. And so we had a really tight bond from that. We were really close. And so at this point in the game, her and Mikey were definitely my number ones. And so we're part of this big alliance. We spend all our time together. And it's pretty much unspoken that we're going to do red light, green light, or tug of war together. Like we had talked about doing tug of war together. So we get in the white room and we see 8 lines. We say, okay, it's tug of war. All the big guys get in one line. And then there's an open line. Number 3 is empty. And so Mikey, Kyle, and I are like, okay, let's go grab this line for our team. So we get in line, number 3, the 3 of us. And Aurora gets in line with us. And then the rest of our team is nowhere to be found. And we're looking around. We're looking at Rob, Melissa, and Dylan. They won't even look us in the eyes. Like, they're clearly up to no good. And I am peeved. And soon the line behind us starts getting filled with people who are not Alliance and also people who are not the biggest guys in the room. And so we are panicking. And then when people look at our line, they just see this line of fairly small people and they're like, I don't want to be in that line. And so the timer on the wall is ticking down. We are like 3 people short and no one wants to join our line. Like we're literally looking around the room panicking and no one is like moving at all. Our Alliance, the corner won't even look us in the eyes. They are like avoiding contact with us. And so we are furious. We're like, okay, this is gonna be a thing. And everyone on Twitter and everything is like, oh, why is she crying? Like Rachel was sobbing because like all of her friends were in our line. Like Phil was in our line, Alex was in our line, and they were begging her to come to our line to save us because we thought that if the timer went down and we didn't have people in our line, we'd all be eliminated. So they're begging her. And so she feels so much pressure to come to our team, but then people on her line are like, Rachel, don't you dare move. Like, if you move, like, you're dead to us. And so she's just crying because everyone's yelling at her. And then Brighton starts yelling at her. And, dude, I feel so bad for her. Like, she's so sweet. But, yeah, no, I totally understand why she's crying. I'd probably be crying, too. But then finally at the end, we have our heroes. I believe Dash came over. Scott came over. The first person I hugged after red light, green light, and I got snot all over him. He joined our line. And then they voted out owner of his line. And so he joined our line. And that was the scene where Figgy was yelling at him, like, get out, get out. So he joined our line. So then finally, what happened? So finally we have our lines, we sit down, and then Brighton starts talking smack, and then Mikey's talking smack back, and they're literally just getting in this verbal altercation. And I have no idea why they cut that. Like, that was so entertaining. But they were literally going at it, and Mikey's calling him like a small man who's like, oh, you're a failed athlete because you broke your knee or whatever. So they're just going at it. Yeah. Yeah. So then we're getting ready to go into the game, and like the waiting room, the white room has changed. We're like sitting in a circle with our team now, and they're monitoring us. They're like, you were not allowed to talk. Like, you have to be silent, completely silent. We're not doing that. We're talking. So we're like whispering with our group, and we're like, okay, like, how do we win this? We're obviously a very small team physically, so how can we beat any other team in tug of war? And Dash is like, I worked at a camp or something, and I know this strategy that like 100% will win. And he's like, you have to get down, like bend your knees in 90-degree angle, then you have to put your arms under your legs, like lock them. And I don't know. He was convinced, and he convinced the rest of us. He had this ragtag group convinced that we were gonna win, and we were like, "Let's do this! Let's freaking do this!" So we're so pumped, so ready to go kill it in there. And then they take us into the room, and it's Battleship, and immediately we all get so excited because we're like smart, so we got this. Like, we're no longer doomed because it's not tug of war. So we're thrilled. And then they ask who wants to be captain and lieutenant. And immediately I say I want to do it because in my mind, like the rules hadn't really been fully explained yet. And I'm thinking I have a better shot of surviving if I'm not vulnerable sitting in a boat. And unfortunately, fortunately for me, but at the time I was sad, but Scott got chosen to be captain and then Tyler got chosen to be lieutenant. I love both of them. They're great leaders, great people, great friends. And so the game starts, and we have to set up our boats in position. We're so scared of the other team knowing where our position is on the board just by like hearing us. And so we're walking around the board, making as much noise as we possibly can. As we all start stomping when we're walking. And then we had all the South American, Central American people on our team. And so they start like doing a little beat, and then we're all just like dancing and vibing while we put our boats down. It was so fun. We're all just like grooving and stomping our feet while we're walking around. And then we put our boats down. Yeah, and I had no idea what boat to go into. And then, so the first 3 boat gets filled up. The second 3 boat gets filled up. Mike and Kyle take the 2 boat on the side. And then the only one left is the 4 boat. And I'm kind of just following Aurora because she had told me before this, she was like, I don't know why, Ned, but I think I'm going to win this whole thing. And I was like, I don't know why, but I believe you. And I was like, I'm putting all my trust in you, and wherever you go, I'm going. And so she got in the 4 boat, and I stood next to her. I was like, this is it. This is where I go down or continue on. And let me just say, the edit of this was really frustrating. I get it. The main characters were all on the other team. We were playing a team that had TJ, it had Leanne, it had Trey, it had Jada, it might have had Felicia too. So it had a ton of people that they were building up to be huge players. So I get it. You want to focus on them. You want the narrative to be like, oh my gosh, like they survived. Like we're so happy. But dude, it was so depressing. Our team, it was literally the saddest thing that has ever happened to me. Like we are just doing terribly. We keep missing and missing and missing, and they keep hitting and hitting and hitting. And we have sweet people on our team. We have Penelope and Carlos and Alex and Kevin all just crying, and Mimi just sobbing, and like, oh, we're just standing there like, ah. But in my mind the whole time, after one of our boats was sunk, I was like, please hit Mimi. Like I love Mimi so much. She's so sweet. But I'm like, if they just hit that boat and get it over with. And so they did. So I'm so sorry, Mimi. But then, so me and Aurora and Mikey and Kyle, the 4 of our alliance members that were loyal, survive. Only 6 people on our team survive, and all 4 of us make it. And so I'm like, this is a sign. Like we're going all the way. It's meant to be. And then I was also in a boat with Dash and Phil, and they're so sweet. I love them both. Dude, they were emotional wrecks after this game. Like, it was heartbreaking, bro. I just wanted to hug Phil for like an hour. He made me so sad because of how sad he was. Yeah. So
yeah, a lot of people's No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, you were about to say something. Go ahead.
Oh. I know production kept being like, guys, like talk, like yell, be excited. And Aurora literally looked at me and she was like, don't make a sound. So, because we didn't want to give away where our boats were. And then after the game, when TJ is yelling, he goes, humility and gratitude. I love TJ, but I was pissed in this moment because we literally are over here sobbing. Like you have literally just completely devastated us, and all of our friends just died in front of us, and he's yelling about humility. And so I yelled back at him. I said, how is that humble? And we leave the room dejected, and the production is like, oh my gosh, like you survived, congratulations. And we want none of it. We're all like crying, we're all devastated. Yeah, but of course then the edit makes it a really like positive, upbeat, triumphant game for TJ, so whatever.
Yeah, you guys don't get too much shine in that game. I mean, y'all didn't get any of the chips, so it's kind of, it was a rough game for y'all team.
It was
but
rough,
luckily our friend 404 is continuing in the game, and he's continuing to lose all his friends, man. This is crazy. I mean, you got the kiss of death going on right now, man. You turning everybody to stone. This is insane. Jesus, well. And so we get back into the dorms. Before I get to the next part, how are you feeling about your alliance members leaving now? Like, are you still friends with them? Like, what's going on?
Great question. So we get back in the dorm. We are one of the last teams to play, I think. And we come back into the dorm, and Rob is waiting for us. He has saved beds for all of us. He was like, we all made it. We all survived. So yes, our whole alliance survived, which is crazy. But then Mikey and Kyle and I, we were like, screw you, bro. Like, we don't even want to sleep by you. You literally just left us to die. Like, we needed you, and you didn't come through. Like, you were literally going to be okay with it if the timer ran out and everyone on our line just died. So we were furious. And I let Mikey and Kyle go in on them, and they did all the arguing, and I left. I was like, oh,
there was an argument?
I'm mad. Oh, yeah, there was a big argument. Like, we had a civil war. We had a little breakup. And so we talked, and basically they came to an agreement. They were like, we're an alliance, but in games, it's every man for themselves. And so I was like, okay, that's not really an alliance, but whatever. I have other friends. And so I did have other friends throughout the dorm that I genuinely was friends with. So yeah, that was a little breakup, and it was really dramatic. And like, they literally edited our whole storyline out. Like, we had a lot going for us in the whole Civil War and the Battleship line and stuff. Like, that would make good TV, but instead they focused on the Gandu gang, which, like, respect to y'all, but I feel like there wasn't that much going on with them. I don't know.
I mean, Yes,
They,
I understand. I understand what you mean. I understand
yeah,
what you mean.
they had Steven and Rick and Dan and Perna, so there were lots of characters within that
I
show.
didn't even know Perno
So I
barely was
get
in
it.
it. Like they barely showed him a part of
Yeah,
it. So.
I know. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. You guys had a whole nother
Hmm.
storyline in the alternate universe that
Dude,
was not
we
shown.
did, we did, and then in
I
the
mean,
middle of the night, um, I was confident this was going to be part of the show. I was so confident. I was in bed in the middle of the night, and then I feel someone like shaking me, and I look up, and it's Rob, and he's like, "Bro, like, I love you," and I'm like, "I can't sleep because I'm so torn up about it, but like, we're in alliance, so we're gonna like ride to the end. So if it's tug of war, like, I got your back. Like, we're doing this together." And he was like, "We're family," and I'm literally sitting there like half awake, like, what? I look up, all the cameras are like on my bed, and I'm like, oh. And then so I'm like, okay, cool, and I like dap him up, and I go back to bed. So then we reconciled. We're back together as alliance. We made up. It's very sweet.
well, yeah. I guess the show wasn't in big favor of bro time too much. I didn't show too much two guys of similar age, I guess you could say, having close knit bonds, except for
Yeah,
Steven and Chase at the very, very beginning. And
yeah,
outside of that,
for
I
sure.
didn't really see any of that happening throughout the entire show. Now
Hmm.
that I could think, yeah, I don't think I
Yeah.
see that once throughout the show. Besides that, so I
Hmm.
guess that wasn't the route they was trying to go. So
But it's
hey,
crazy.
us
Like
guys, it's
when
tough
they,
for us guys. We can't show
it
love for
is.
each other.
I know you're right. But the crazy thing is, they like when they finally did introduce the corner later in the show, they like tried to act like it was a dudes alliance, and they edited Melissa out of it, they edited Aurora out of it, and they edited Jada out of it. And they were all part of the alliance, and the show just pretended they weren't there. And so people on Twitter were like, "Oh, like I'm tired of these like all male alliances." I'm like, it really wasn't. Like, okay,
A male oriented alliance.
I
But
don't know.
I
It was kind
understand
of
what
an
you're
even
coming from.
split. Kind of an
Three
even split.
girls, 3 girls and
Yeah,
seven
there was
dudes.
no. It was me, Mikey, Kyle, Dylan, and Rob, and then Marina was in there too. So it was kind of like 5-4. It was pretty even.
Mm. I mean, I don't know. So
I don't know. They just
I
edited the
saw
girls
y'all
out.
kicking it. Hey, I saw y'all kicking in the corner because I was not
Yeah.
going over there. Uh, well, we soon find out that there are 2 tests before the next game, and the guards explain the
Mhm.
first one is you must vote out 3 players, and they bring out this Pac-Man looking machine. Everyone gets in a line and votes out. So tell me how you feeling about this.
I'm super excited for this because this is where my Survivor um, game can start. So I'm like pumped about this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go like make the rounds, talk to everyone, see where everyone's voting. And I tell the corner, I was like, guys, like we have to split. We cannot look like an alliance. Like everyone already knows we're an alliance because we spend all our time together. But I'm like, we need to stop doing that because that looks so bad. Like we're gonna be targeted so hard. And so we kind of split up for the day. Um, and my plan for that vote is I'm gonna vote Jesse. Um, the dude
Why?
that's friends with TJ, because there were rumors spread by Dash that TJ and Jesse's alliance was against our alliance.
See, it's
Yes.
funny you say this because I just talked to Cheney.
Mm-hmm. Oh
But
man,
continue. But continue.
I imagine she probably said something similar.
she said something similar.
Yeah, Dash is great. We were good friends.
Oh
I really love that guy,
gosh.
but he was telling them, or so we heard he was telling them that we were coming after them, and he was telling us they were coming after us. So I think in his mind he was just kind of trying to get the alliances to target each other, which is not a bad move. But we kind of compared notes and we figured that out. But I was going to go for Jesse for that reason, and also because I had tried to connect with him a few times throughout the game, and I was feeling very like stonewalled, like he's not really interested in talking to me or working with me or being my friend or anything. Which is kind of funny because my parents, when they were watching the show, every time he was on screen, they thought it was me, and they would get excited. I was like, "That's not me." But so I was trying to be friends with this dude, and he just wasn't having it. So I'm like, okay, I don't need someone in the game who's not really gonna be on my side. So I wanted to target him. Our whole alliance wanted to target him. Then the twist comes up where if you're the first person to put a name on the board, it's public and everyone knows that. And so I'm like, shoot, okay. So if someone else nominates Jesse, I'll vote for him. But if not, I'm gonna target someone else. And so I ended up voting Dr. V, just because I figured it was a safe choice. It was he was kind of ruffling some feathers, but that whole when he got everyone in a circle and was like, hey everyone, like let's make this fair. I have thoughts about that because that attitude that he had is kind of the attitude that everyone adopted at like Glass Bridge and the dice game. Everyone's like, oh, we're in this as a team. And so I feel like at this point in time, we were not having it. We were like, no, like we're going to go strategize. We're going to vote out who we want to vote out. And I feel like a lot of people who were vocal about that were probably out by the time Glass Bridge happened and the dice game happened. Because if I were around at that point, I would be much more self-interested than having this whole team mentality. But that's a digression.
No, I'd say this kind of similar thing. It's, everyone's rooting for themselves or rooting for the team at the end, and it's like this is an individual game. So I was surprised more strategy wasn't used in teamwork to get certain people out and save yourself. But I think at that point also you got all the personalities out the game because it's a game of being quiet. Essentially, like don't put yourself out there, don't be in front, don't volunteer. If you do these things, you're out the game, And so at this point, most of the people at that point haven't put themselves out in front. Most people,
you're right,
and they were playing it safe, and that was still their game plan of playing it safe. So that's how I correlate the whole thing in a nutshell.
Definitely,
but yes,
I definitely agree.
Eventually, 374 Andy is gone, 330 Dr. V is gone, and 161 Lorenzo is gone. And it is soon time for the second test. The guards bring out the 6 boxes. 5 people volunteer. It's 183 Jesse, 130 Jacobin, 79 Kyle, 229 Felicia, and 375 Joel. And so are you worried about any of these people up here voting you out?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So after the vote, I don't know what was going on in my mind, but I was so worried that Jesse was going to figure out that I was targeting him. And so I was like, I need to get ahead of that. And so I went up. Do what?
How would he figure that out?
Dude, because people talk. Like Dash, I'm pretty sure we told Dash that we were targeting Jesse. So it's like, oh, he's going to go tell him. Because he had also proposed that. Like, I think at one Jesse's name was being floated around by a lot of people. Like, I know Rochelle was going to vote Jesse. Lucy was going to vote Jesse. There was a big contingency of people who were voting Jesse and Lorenzo as well. And so I was like, I don't want him to find out that I was part of this group that was trying to get him out. And so I went up to him and I was like, hey, like, I heard your name earlier. And he was like, who said it? And I was like, oh, just like Dash, So I was like trying to connect with him, trying to make him feel good about myself. But then after that, he like didn't really talk to me again. And I'm like, okay, I kind of thought I opened like a door for communication, but it didn't really seem like he was having any of it. And so then he picks a Jack in the Box. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, he basically got information from me, found out that I was going to target him, and now he's just going to get rid of me. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like, I'm so stupid for thinking that was going to work. And so they didn't show this in the edit, but he like literally got down off stage, walked around through the crowd, and literally like got in our faces and asked us, do you want to go home? And I was literally like about to cry, and I was like, no. When he came up to me.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I was like, I don't want to go home. Yeah. That is the most scared I was in the entire game. Like, that is the most stressed I think I felt in my life. My heart was literally like this because I thought Jesse was going to eliminate me. I don't think I was even on his radar, but in my mind, I thought I was going home. And then it was very weird that Kyle was up there because he was probably my second closest friend there after Mikey. And I didn't want him putting his neck on the line. But he said he went up there because Jesse went up there. So he wanted a representative from our alliance up there in case Jesse got power. He wanted to also have power. So it was kind of forcing a truce. He's like, Jesse, if you take out one of ours, I'm going to take out one of yours. So I understood the mentality. I would not have taken that risk myself, but it worked out.
If y'all was smart, y'all should have just combined forces together and got other people out. But
It's
y'all
true.
wasn't as smart as y'all thought.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just me, being devil's advocate
Yeah.
a little bit. But
Right.
yes, unfortunately, you don't get voted out here. Other people do. Nobody in your alliance
Mhm.
gets voted out. So
Mhm.
well, yeah, nobody in your alliance gets voted out, and so you're good. Everyone's safe and happy. And we
Yep.
move on to 63 people. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
soon we find out that the guards eventually, people do the chores and they complete the
Yep.
oranges, and the guards bring out the picnic blankets and picnic
Mhm.
baskets. What are you thinking when they bring this out?
Oh, it's obviously marbles. And I would say probably like 80% of us knew that. And that's why if you look at all the pairings, you're like, why are these random two people paired up? It's because we didn't want to go up against our friends. Like most of us knew that. Mikey came up to me and asked, "Do you want to be my partner, or do you want to have a picnic together?" And I said, "No." And I actually went up to my alliance and I said, "This is marbles. Like, split up. We all need to split up because in our minds, we're still all of us are making it to the end together." Um, for some reason, Mikey and Kyle pair up. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, those are my two closest allies, and they're just paired up. And then Aurora and
I
Dylan pair
talked to
up.
Kyle. I talked to Kyle, and
Yeah,
he said that he wanted one of them to make it further, and he
yeah.
didn't want both of them to go out. So, but
Which
continue.
ultimately was a smart move because all of us went home except for Mikey. So it didn't really work out as intended. Um, but then Keys came up to me, the guy that I rode the bus to red light, green light, and we had kind of rapport throughout the game. And like I was cool with him. I was somewhat good friends with him. Like I knew a lot about his life, and I thought we were cool. And whenever I'd make my rounds around the room, I'd go hang out with him and Chapman. I felt like I was friends with them. I did not know at the time, and this is kind of hurtful still to this day, but he made it his goal to eliminate me because he saw me talking to other people. And I guess he didn't like that I was getting close to other people and he took it as a betrayal, which I have heard this secondhand, so I don't know if it's completely true, but that's what I've heard. And when I heard that, like honestly kind of recently, I was like, what? Like I literally never considered him an enemy at all. Like I thought he was my friend. I thought we were gonna like have each other's backs, which is what we had talked about. But he thought that me joining the corner was like a betrayal on him, which I mean, I guess, but I don't think like it's Squid Game. Like you need as many friends as you can have, and he's an idiot for trying to take out one of the two people in the dorms who actually liked him. Um, whatever. So we that's true, and it bit him in the butt because the one person left at the marbles who would have saved him was me. Um, so then we picnic, and he's behaving very odd. And he kind of tells me before we pair up, he was like, "Do you want to pair up? Because it could be like they could be pulling a stunt on us, and we actually have to pair up in a game. Like we're actually competing together." So that's actually a great point because they have been pulling twists the entire time. Like that could be a good twist. Like you pick someone random, and then it's actually about who is the best like cooperation. So I'm like, okay, that's a really valid point. But then also, if we have to limit each other, it's not going to be the end of the world because like my alliance can still go on. Um, so we're having this picnic together, and he's just not really being very talkative. Every time I try to bring up marbles and like what game we're gonna play, he changes the subject completely, and he's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And I'm like, "Okay, like whatever." But we're chill. Um, so I have a plan going into marbles, and it is a game that if you know the strategy, it's one of those strategy games where if you know the strategy, you're gonna win 100% of the time. And I think most people going into the game knew this strategy, knew this game, and I figure he probably knew what it was too, but I suggested it, or I wanted to suggest it. So, do you have any more questions before I get to the game?
Ah, go ahead. Continue, coach.
Okay, so we go into the room together, and then they give us like 5 minutes to talk about our stories or whatever. And he starts talking about how he wants to use the money to buy his dad a car. Okay, I know this story. I have heard it before. He's talked to me about it before. It's not an emotional story. Like I completely understand wanting to help your dad retire and like get him a gift and stuff. Okay, he's won a car on a game show before. Give that car to your dad if you care so much. Um, so clearly, well, he starts like crying, and so this is when the cameras are on us, like close up. I'm like, okay, he knows he's getting screen time, so he's really hamming up for the camera, and so he literally starts like putting on the waterworks, pretending to cry. His eyes are 100% dry. There's not a single tear there, and it's at this moment where I realize this guy is a snake. this guy's slimy. And it's the same thing I said where, like, at the beginning of the game, I wanted nothing to do with those people who were literally just putting on a show for the cameras. They just irritated the crap out of me because I'm like, you're not a genuine person. And then he started doing that. And I'm like, okay, I mean, whatever. You see the cameras in front of you, but you're like putting on an act, and I see right through it, and it is really annoying me. And I did not know this at the time, but actually, I think I did know it, but I don't think I believed it. In Battleship, he was like cheering wildly whenever someone on the other team died, and not in like we just sunk there. He was like, "You're dead," like, haha. So it was very like malicious. And when people told me that, I was like, I don't know if he would do that. Like, he's a very nice guy. Like, we're kind of friends, so I don't think he would behave that way. But now I'm starting to think back to that, and I'm like, okay, maybe he really is just kind of like a douchebag. He's trying to play a character. He's trying to be a villain. He wants screen time. Like, I kind of figure out, I'm like, okay, that's his only goal in this game is just to get screen time and to be the villain. And that's like not great for me. So then we started talking about the game, and I suggested the strategy game. And I said, I was like, okay, I'm thinking the strategy game that I know, if you want to play that. And he asked me to explain the rules. And so he let me eat up about like 4 minutes of the explanation time. We only get like 5 minutes. He let me eat up like 4 minutes of the explanation time, explaining the rules of the game. And then after I explained it all, he says, no, I don't want to play that. And I said, well, okay, why don't you want to play it? And he says, I fully admit I was trying to pull one over on him. That's part of the game. I think it's $5 million. I'm going to play self-interest, like with my own self-interest in mind. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put other people down. I'm not going to make other people feel bad about themselves. And I'm going to act like a human being in the game. And that's what I wanted to stick to the whole time. Like, I'm going to play hard, and I will backstab people, but I'm not going to enjoy it. And I'm going to treat people with kindness and like the competitors that they are. And so I asked him why he doesn't want to play this game. And he says, oh, I have OCD, so it makes me hard to think. It makes me hard, like I can't do math. That's why I'm a PE teacher. And I start seeing red because I have been diagnosed with OCD, and I know what it is, and I know it differs between people, and maybe that's something he deals with. But the way he brought it up, he was bringing it up under the assumption that I didn't know what he was talking about, and trying to use it as a manipulation tactic to get me to agree to something else. And that felt very, very icky to me. It, like, I would never bring up something like that is personal to people, like outside the game, as a reason to manipulate people into doing what I want. And that kind of knocked me off my kilter a little bit. I was so frustrated with him. And so I told him, I said, I have OCD too. And kind of just as a way to say, like, I'm onto you. Like, I know what game you're playing, and I don't like it. And then I basically told him, I said, okay, well, you're a PE teacher. I don't want to play a physical game against you because you literally play physical children's games for a living. Like, that's your job. And I said, can we play a game of chance? And he said, I'm not like going home on a game of chance. I said, okay, I understand that. But I still think that's the most fair thing to do. And he said, absolutely not. The only thing I'm doing is physical game. And so he said, you can pick any game you want. We literally had like 15 seconds left on the clock. I was like, whatever. Let's just best of 10. You throw it in a little bowl. So with 10 seconds left, if I had like a minute left to think, if I hadn't spent 4 minutes explaining my dumb game, then maybe I would have thought of a better strategy. But so we just play this game where you throw it into a bowl. And so we start playing, and dude, all my shots were so close. They're literally like half of them literally bounced off the rim of the bowl. And his were all over the place. They were like wildly inaccurate. And then on his like sixth marble or something, he gets it in, and then I miss all the rest and he misses all the rest. So literally by a score of 1-0, he beats me. And I'm like, because if we had done a game where it's like you draw rings and you get more points for being accurate, I would have won that like by far. But it's because you had to get in the bowl, and I didn't. He beat me. And so I expected him to be like, I'm sorry, man, like, good job, like, hug me and console me, because, I mean, I'm pretty upset. I just lost a shot at $5 million. But he didn't do any of that. He started cheering, and he was like, I won. Like, it was honestly, like, very, very odd. And you can see this exact same behavior in Battleship. There's a scene that he's in, and he literally is like jumping up and down like a child, and it's like embarrassing. I was embarrassed watching him. I was like, dude, like you, like have some compassion. I mean, if I just beat you, dude, I would feel terrible that I just ended your shot at this game. Like, I just can't understand how you have absolutely zero like emotion other than like he was just gloating in my face about it. And so he gets all the marbles and then he goes up to the guards and he was like, "Where do I go now? Where do I go now?" Just like completely oblivious that I'm just like sitting on the floor crying. And I notice there's a marble in the sand on the ground that he has not seen. And I said, "You don't have all 20 marbles." And he goes, "What?" I said, "You don't have all 20 marbles." And he gets in my face and he goes, "Did you steal a marble? Like, are you cheating?" And he counts them. He realizes he's 19. He's like, "You're cheating. You stole a marble. Like, you're hiding it. You have to give it to me. I beat you." And I'm like, I don't have a marble, but you don't have all 20 marbles. And he literally just yelled in my face, accusing me of all these things, calling me names, like literally just being a piece of crap, bro. And like, after just being like attacked for so long, I was finally just like, whatever, dude. It's on the ground. Like, you beat me. Take it. Go on. You're not going to win this game because you can't win this game acting like this. And he learned that the next round.
Wow. That is wild, Ned. Sheesh. So I take it y'all ain't friends, huh?
Dude, no, he hasn't talked. Like, he literally hasn't reached out to me since we filmed. And he's following so many other people from the cast, and he hasn't even like messaged me or anything. And part of me was hoping our game would be aired, and my MIVs would be aired because I wanted his family to see how he treats people. And I was literally thinking, I was like, this guy is like, he could be my dad realistically. Like, he was kind of like a father figure to me in the game, and to literally treat someone like this, like that you don't even really know, like that. I was like, that really truly just shows who you are as a person. Like, how you treat people in this game, I think, is very reflective of how you treat people in real life. And
100%.
I'm sad that his family did not get to see that behavior. But I mean, I think it is a blessing for him because they're not going to see what the things that he did. They're only going to hear it from his side. So
Yeah, no, I heard some things. I mean, I won't get into my point of view because that has nothing to do with me. But yes, I'm sorry that happened, man. That's not cool. I definitely think people need to win with grace
for sure,
and humility.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm sorry. I was humility and gratitude, and I was very sad to see, the image they did show you in the show and you was on the ground.
Dude,
and very upset. You looked very distraught. It tug on my heartstrings a lot because I was like, oh, like they didn't have to do my man like that. Like it was tough, man. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt for you because you looked like you really wanted it, and you was doing it the right way essentially. So yeah, I was very, very sad to see you go.
It was after, I don't think it actually really hit me until all the cameras left. I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, what if there's a twist where like some people die but they still get to live, like, But then when the cameras left, I'm like, okay, no, I'm really dead. And then a welfare person came to get me, and I literally just broke down. I just started sobbing, and like I was explaining to her, I was like, I'm obviously devastated about being out of the game. Like, it's very sad because I've worked so hard and I think I've played the game so well up to this point. But the thing that hurt the most is that the person who beat me didn't care. Like, in that moment, I was like, I wish I had played Mikey, just so if I lost, I would have someone here like hugging me and feeling bad about it. Like, I just wanted to feel cared for, and I did not. And that was like the lowest point probably of my life. I was just so upset.
Wow. Well, I'm very, if I would have been there to, help you out, my brother.
Thanks, man.
I didn't have to deal with that, so I don't know how that, that feeling.
For sure.
And yeah, I mean, the game it's a game, but it's real at the end of the day. I mean, you're living with these people, you're all stuck in the same room. And people, you need to treat each other like people at the end of the day. Don't treat each other like robots. And I definitely am not cool with that kind of behavior, and I'm not a fan of people acting like somebody else doesn't matter. That's just
Yeah.
not cool, and that's not what I stand by. And
Yeah.
those people will always get their karma, best believe, and it will come
Yeah.
back tenfold. So
Yes.
I truly believe
And it.
that. So when you get, no, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think it was very fitting that it was very bittersweet. I mean, the next day was the test, like the friendship test. I felt like I formed like really great relationships with almost everyone who made it like to the top 20. And so
I don't know if you would have made it past that, code. I don't know if you would have made it past that.
you don't think I would have made the alliance test?
I don't know who would have picked you, bruh. I literally don't know who to pick you.
100% would have picked me.
Who?
Mikey.
You think Mikey would have picked you over he picked that girl.
He picked 77. Marina.
Marina?
Yeah.
You think
And the
you think
three
he
of us
would've-
were good.
you
He
think
was
he
my
would have
best
picked
friend
you
in
over
there.
Marina? You think he would have picked you
Yeah.
over Marina?
I do, and then I
100%.
would have picked Marina. Either he picks me, I pick Marina, or he picks Marina, she picks me. I think that's how it would have gone down.
But
And if
Marina
not,
was in the girls' alliance. Marina was in the girls'
he wasn't a
alliance.
girls' alliance. Yeah, but you
So
see
she
that,
picked the girl.
none of the girls were actually like on for that. You see
They
half
weren't
of them
okay.
picked
It
the
wasn't.
guy they were closer to.
It wasn't like that. But at that point, Marina says she's gonna get. I have notes right here. She says she's gonna
Okay.
get the ball rolling with the girls thing. She's the one who starts
Mhm.
that. And then,
It's true.
of course, I still think I assume you guys are friends.
Yeah.
I don't know who if Mikey would have picked you over her. I don't know. I haven't talked to
I
him.
think he would
I
have.
haven't talked
I've
to
talked to
Marina.
him about it. Talked to him about
So
it
he would have
yesterday.
picked you over her.
Yeah. And then I would have
Okay.
picked her.
Okay, but then maybe you would have been picked then. So let me shut up.
Think I would have. And then
Okay.
Keys did not get picked. And so on one hand, I'm like, that's what happens when you don't treat people like human beings. No one has your back. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like I literally died for nothing. Like, it sucked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they didn't even show him in the show. I didn't even, I don't
No.
talk to the guy, so I really don't even remember what he looks like
Yeah.
very much.
No.
But yeah, I didn't see him. So
Yeah,
when you
it's
get
funny
back,
because
no, go ahead.
sorry, he spent his whole game trying to be a villain to get screen time, and then he's not even in the show.
Yeah.
He's just mean to people for no reason.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So you're eliminated. Unfortunately, that's the end of the road for our friend 404. He has to hang his jersey up. But so when you get back home to Texas, how you feeling?
Dude, I just wanted fried chicken. That's the first place I went. That's all I could think about in the show, just fried chicken.
You got
I
good
swear.
taste.
Yeah, and so we went to this place called Babes. My best friend picked me up from the airport. We went to Babes, and then it was great. I was really sad. Like, obviously, devastated to not be in the game anymore. But I got home, and then I got a FaceTime from Rachel. And I love Rachel. And I'm like, okay, why is she FaceTiming me? And then I answer, and it's Mikey and Jackie and Marina, and I am just upset all over again. It's like all these people I love are gone.
Yeah. Dang. Man, just more sadness. Well, you seem like you was all right once you got your chicken in your system and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
true.
think overall, you played a great game, Ned.
Thank
I
you.
got to know you decently well on the show, so definitely I was
Yeah.
rooting for you from afar. And I mean, I wasn't really like a group person. I was never really trying to be in these little silly gangs with names on
Yeah.
them. That's just not my MO. But
Yeah.
I definitely, you were one of the people who I definitely could be comfortable around more so in the game than others.
For sure.
And I mean, I didn't even know there was these names of these groups. I mean, like I was out kind of early, so I guess I didn't have time to learn the names. But at the same time, it was not my MO. So, but
Yeah,
I
it
think
wasn't
you
mine
definitely
either
put-
until I
it
got
just
invited
worked out.
into
That's how it
it.
is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think you played a great game. You a stand-up dude. You're
Thank you.
honorable, and you play things the right way, and you seem to have a lot of integrity. And I love that about you, man.
Appreciate it.
So definitely, I think with that attitude, you will go a long way in some places.
Thank you, man.
What kind of things do you have? Do you have anything to say to take away from the show or that you got from it?
Yeah. I get panic attacks whenever I throw gum into trash cans now. Um, but other than that, no, overall it was a great experience. I mean, made some friends for life for sure. And I truly loved like everyone I met. Like even people that I wasn't close with in the show, I've been able to get close with after the show. And like it's been really cool because I never would have met any of these people ever. Um, so that is definitely the biggest takeaway for me. And then just the experience. Like how many people can say they did this? Like at the end of the day, 455 people did not get the money, but we can say that we were part of something that people would pay to do. Like I would literally pay to play those games just to experience it, you know? And we got to do it for free. I mean, we didn't get paid and we got starved. I lost 15 pounds, but it was still, it was so cool. Like when can I ever
Yeah.
do that in my real life?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I totally agree with
Yeah.
you on that.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, man, it was great having you on here, man. I definitely enjoyed our good time together. You tell a great story. I could listen to you
Oh,
talk
thank
for
you.
hours and hours and hours.
Oh, appreciate it.
Uh, and yeah, definitely can't look forward to when we get to kick it in the future.
For sure.
And you can
For
tell me some
sure.
more stories.
Alrighty. Will do. Thanks for having me.
um, but yeah, can you tell the people where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm not a huge social media guy. I literally posted like once a year until the show came out. So, but I'm on Instagram, um, at inswart underscore. So that's
Insert
pretty much
underscore.
it.
That's
I'm
it,
I'm
y'all.
an engineer, so my life is not like I'm not an influencer at all.
Hey, it's okay. You an influencer, though. You influence people. So that's
That's
more
true.
important than being an online influencer
Hmm.
selling silly products that no one wants.
I appreciate
No
that.
offense to my influencers
No,
out there selling products.
no, they're important. They're important too, and I love them,
But
and half
y'all
of
need
them are my friends.
exactly. But make sure y'all subscribe and whatnot. All
Yeah.
jokes aside. Um, but yes, well, Ned, I really do appreciate you coming on, man. You my guy. You know I got love for you, all the love in the
Hmm.
world.
Same.
And definitely, I really do appreciate you coming on the
For sure.
Aftermath podcast.
Yeah.
Till next time, y'all, we out here. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.